Welcome to Conversations with Belle, where we encourage personal growth and development by discussing real life issues in a meaningful way. Today, we have dating commentator and co founder of Ringside, Troy Vaughn, aka Trey Amazing. His platform boasts nearly 9,000 members. Welcome, Trey.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being on. I'm excited to hear what you have to say. And let's dive right in. Can you tell us a little bit about Ringside and its mission?
Okay, so Ringside, for those that don't know, is a live event, also a digital community
Mhm.
where we bring together outspoken, over the top, and opinionated men and women to debate on issues related to singlehood, dating, marriage, divorce, sex, kink, and fetish. And the point and mission is to cultivate positive communication
Mhm.
for better outcomes in dating, for healthier dating and more prosperous marriages.
Wow, that's a lot.
Mm.
So, did the dating commentator come before Ringside, or were you already doing that, or was it birthed out of Ringside?
Um, Dating commentator title was came much later on,
Hmm.
many years afterwards, because I came up with the moniker only because I'm not. I've done other shows before where I was referred to as a relationship expert, a relationship coach, and
Hmm.
I've been very adamant that I'm not a relationship expert. I'm not a relationship coach. It's come up a couple of times, and I have to let people know, like, no, I don't have all the answers. I have more questions.
Yeah.
But when it's all said and done, this genre of relationships, dating, so on and so forth, is very much a passion of mine. So I'm like, well, what
Hmm.
what would I refer to myself as? And I'm like, if someone can be a political commentator because they talk about politics on CNN, or a sports commentator because they talk about sports on ESPN, then I'm gonna be a dating commentator because I
Hmm.
talk about dating, relationships, and marriage on social media and at live events. So I just came up with the brand dating commentator, and I'm happy with it.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about the demographics of Ringside? So, like age range, are most of the members married? Are they single? Are they dating? Are they looking? Um, can you expound on that?
To I guess to put it out there, Ringside, as far as the community, is hyper diverse. I would
Hmm.
say, median age would be, I guess around 35, 36, ballpark. I mean, mostly college educated. I would say most people there are single and dating. I mean, we have a lot of married couples, we have a lot of divorced couples, mostly African American. I would say, we have it's a couple of sprinkles of other races in there, but for the most part, African American.
Hmm.
Um, and what we pride ourselves on with Ringside is that with Ringside we bring together, again, it's a wonderful amalgamation of different personalities and backgrounds. We have things, everything from pastors to porn stars to pimps to politicians,
Hmm.
you name it. We have people from every kind of background because everybody has a perspective on dating and relationships, and we want to create an environment where people can learn from other people, outside of themselves, because
Hmm.
we have to get out of this mindset that the way we were raised, the way we believe dating, relationships, marriages, and sex goes, is not always universal. There are other people who have different opinions in different applications, and so we want to create a space where people can learn different perspectives and different, opinions and impressions outside of their own.
Yeah. So that makes for interesting, thought provoking conversations, I am sure, right?
To say the least, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So dating after 40, looking for love after 40, right, evokes a lot of emotions and feelings, right? There's anxiety, there's fear, there's hope, there's hopelessness, there's sadness, there's angst, there's worry. Why do you think the stakes seem to be so high when it comes to this topic for this age group?
Well, when you're talking about dating over 40, and this is just my hypothesis,
Hmm.
unlike dating, in your 20s, when someone is making it to 40, they have more life experiences. And by saying life experiences, we mean good and bad. And we do know, either from our own personal experiences or what we've seen, observed with family and friends, life experiences sometimes have a tendency to alter people's impressions, personalities, and views on, certain matters, in this case, relationships and marriages. So, after 40, there is a higher likelihood, there are higher chances you meet people who've gone through serious and traumatic breakups, divorces, baby mama or baby daddy issues, infidelities, the list goes on and on. Not to say that those issues can't happen in your 20s, but by the time when we're in our 40s, we meet those people, we come to the table with our own war stories, with our own testimonies about what we've dealt with in dating, and the good things that we can take away from, and also the bad things, the regrets, the things that we all know hindsight is 2020. So after 40, we definitely know, okay, looking back, I'm not going to do that again. Or I learned my lesson. I tried it this way in my 20s and 30s, it backfired. So moving forward, I want to do things different. And so, but also, like I said, in a good and bad way, because after 40, you do meet people who are in the dating market, who want to find love, who want to find that special someone in companionship. However, they may, because of issues in the past, may be scarred, may be traumatized. And the issue with that is some people, once they realize they're traumatized, some people avail themselves to therapy and counseling to address these issues, and other people don't. Unfortunately, many of the people who don't seek therapy or counseling or religion or church, whatever the case may be, they're still out there dating. They're still among us. They're still, sending us DMs. They're still sitting across the table from us on a date. And they haven't quite dealt with, their issues, but they're now in a position, because they haven't dealt with their issues. Now they're in a position to enter in a relationship with us and potentially, erode another relationship. So,
Right. Do you think that societal pressure contributes to the idea that if you're unmarried or uncoupled at this stage, at this big age, as some of my Nigerian sisters at work say to me, that somehow you failed the test? You failed some kind of test if you're not with somebody and you're over 40.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It can come from society. I mean, particularly can come from family. We all come from different family backgrounds, and baby boomers, they had their own set of values. Many of them had their own set of values, especially how they viewed and perceived the role of marriage, the purpose of marriage. And what we've seen before with older generations, there is a slight change among the Gen Xers, the millennials, and even moving forward the Gen Zers. And so we're dealing with people that have come before us that are holding their values over us, even to this day. And that even how they value marriage, or why if you're not at a certain age and married, then
something's wrong with you.
That means that obviously there's defects, or obviously you're the problem, or if you don't have children by a certain age or something, because their criteria and their values, they're still back in yesteryears. So there is going to be judgment, there is going to be pressure, sometimes demonization if you're not at a certain point where people think you should be, both professionally or personally.
So how do we undo that narrative? And do you think it's more of an issue for men or women?
In terms of
that something is wrong with you if at this age you're over 40, you're 45, 50, sliding into 55, and you're single. How do we unpack that? How do we change that narrative? What do we do?
If I had the answer to that, I would be sitting on a yacht right now. if I actually knew that, because I'm curious myself, but I can't really speak for everyone else. I would definitely say for myself, once you reach a certain point, you kind of have to kind of just, kind of give a middle finger to old age convention and say, look, I'm going to live my life on my terms. What's funny, and the memes are hilarious, whenever the holidays roll around, and what do you call those holiday clapbacks, or something.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
those
Hmm.
are quite hilarious because we've all been there. We know what it's like
Yeah.
to be around parents, aunts, uncles, cousins, and they, wonder, well, how come you ain't married yet, or
Hmm.
something like, and it's you got to get to a certain point where you realize, look, you're living your life, by your own set of values, by your own set of rules. Other people, they may chime in, but I've always expressed to people, if they're not paying your bills, if they're not receiving mail at your house, their opinions are null and void. You know,
Yeah.
so you have to. I think with anybody, and for the sake of this conversation, we're talking about people over 40. You have to kind of look at yourself in the mirror and say, look, other people's opinions of the trajectory of your life doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You're not seeking that validation from anybody else, because of your relationship status. So I think there has to be more of an intrinsic assessment of your goals, your purposes, but also just finding that confidence in yourself to where you're not going to let your relationship status define you,
Hmm.
dictate you, or bring you down, no matter what relatives or friends or older generations say.
I think society has really done a number on us, in particular, particularly on women. And
Hmm.
we've bought into this idea that after a certain age, we're no longer of use or value to anyone. And if we are not married, or if we have not had children, or if we haven't, these things make you a real woman. And I think that it's what you said, I am in agreement. I think women, and I'm speaking for women because I am one, but I think we really need to do a better job of talking to ourselves and reminding ourselves that we're valuable with or without a partner. And if the reason that you're seeking a partner is to increase your value, or make yourself feel like your life has meaning, then you really need to pick that apart and
Hmm.
figure out, why am I here? Why am I doing this? Am I getting married because I really want to get married? Am I trying to find a man because I really want to find a man? Or is it because I feel like everyone's looking at me and everyone else is married and everyone else is coupled and I'm the odd man out, and so now I want to fit in, and this is why I'm doing these things. I think a lot of people I know who are on second marriages kind of did that the first time. And I think we just really need to be honest about that and give ourselves, women, permission to decide for ourselves what we want our happy to look like. It may include a husband, it may include a wife, it may include neither. It may include children, it may not. But we get to decide. Society and our friends and our line sisters and our girlfriends and our childhood friends, they don't decide those things for us. We decide those things. And you can't give in to this idea, because society, really, women of a certain age are supposed to be, undesirable. Once we hit a certain
Right.
age, it's like we're no good. We're put on the shelf, let the young girls take over, and nothing, taking nothing from the younger girls, because I used to be one. But, we have to stop telling ourselves and feeding into these lies and these stories that society tells us. And I think really the purpose of that is to make us feel desperate and to
Hmm.
accept, whatever comes our way, because we don't want to be alone. Alone isn't necessarily a bad thing if you're healthy and if you're happy and if you're whole and you're living a good life. So
Hmm.
I just think we need to reframe that whole narrative. um do men go through that, or is it more of a woman thing? Because it seems like men are kind of like unpressed, and it's mostly women who are really seeking a mate
You
at
know,
this age.
a couple of things. Just three things I'm going to say, just in
Hmm.
reaction to what you just said. Number one, um, someone needs to give you a microphone so you can drop it, because that was a whole word, that was a whole testimony, and I agree with. Second, I like how you were kind of dancing around the issue. You were stating something without saying this person's name, and I don't have to say this person's name, and I won't. But this person is seen as an agent of that division, an agent of that belief that if you are a woman of a certain age, or a woman of a certain weight, or a woman who's had children,
Or
whatever,
complexion.
or complexion, that your
Yeah.
value somehow diminishes, or
Hmm.
men are not going to want you because you're here in life, you're here at this
Hmm.
age, married, got children, this many baby daddies. I, boldly refute that. That's going to be the case with some people, but overall, that is not your your value, because regardless, you got women out here with multiple children, multiple baby daddies, and ring shopping right now or planning their wedding right now. Somebody gonna want you. Somebody still wants you.
Right.
So this one agent, it's impossible for this one agent to speak for all men, because he doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
He has an opinion, which he has every right to his opinion, and he has opinion that many people, both men and women, may agree with, but many people also disagree with. Because fact of the matter is, a lot of women, that he may feel, are of less desirable. I'm like, no, they're still desirable by a lot of men out there.
Mm-hmm.
Just he's generalizing his thoughts and opinions on everyone else, but clearly that's not the case. Um, but as far as what men, men, we go through our own inadequacies. We go through our own insecurities. It may not always, for every man, revolve around marriage.
Mm-hmm.
As a man, I went to all male school. I'm in a fraternity. That's validation through marriage, or not being married affecting our self-esteem. That really has never, at least, has never come up since I've been around.
Yeah.
We have our own metrics as far as what affects our confidence. It could be our money. It could be where we are
Mm-hmm.
professionally. It can be where we are in school. It can be, I'm 40. Am I making the salary I thought I'd be making? Or am I,
Mm-hmm.
do I have that fancy job title that I thought? Do I live in the house or the apartment, or drive a certain car? So I think with a lot of men, are the things, it can revolve around professional um, circumstances versus marriage. Not to say that there aren't men out there who aren't dealing with, their own insecurities because they're not married, or, because they're not with someone. But
Mm-hmm.
I think for the most part, a lot of men, their self-esteem is rooted in what's in their wallet, or
Yeah.
how much they can
Yeah.
provide, or if they're in a position to provide.
Okay. And I just want to clarify, I wasn't speaking about a particular person. I was just speaking about society as a whole. I really do feel, as a woman who is aging, that I feel like the message that's being sent to me as a woman of color, a darker complected woman of color, who's divorced and who has children, somehow I'm less valuable than the next woman because of whatever. And so what I'm saying to any woman that's watching is, we have got to reframe those narratives. And you see it in,
Mm.
reality TV, you see it in movies, you see it on television shows, and you just have to reframe that narrative and tell yourself, and believe that you are in fact valuable, with or without a mate. And so I was just wondering if men obsess over that as much as women seem to obsess over it, because it seems like it's a woman thing. But I was just curious about that.
Yeah, you're going to see this play out, both in public. You see it play out in social media.
Hmm.
Um, people do have these things where they're like, okay, they're seeking something, or seeking some level of validation, or being told they're not, hey, because of your circumstances, your stock price has dropped, or
Hmm.
stuff like that. You're always going to have those voices. And again, I would tell anybody, man or woman, you have to
Hmm.
um, kind of put your earplugs in and not worry about who's saying what, or who's determining your worth. Um,
Yeah.
don't you get to a point like you can't give people that much power.
Yeah. What are some of the challenges that men and women over 40 face when they're trying to navigate this whole search for love? Things
Um,
that are unique to our age group,
things that are unique.
or
Again,
are
you get,
they?
there you're going to deal with similar circumstances. You're going to deal with some things that are unique. Obviously, again, after a certain age, I mean, I think there is a higher potential for baggage. Because again, after 40, a lot of people have already lived life. Or, a lot of people have already, like, you and I both, we're both divorced. We both experience. We both, after 40, we come to the table with someone and like, look, I have been there. You know, I have raw emotions. I have,
Hmm.
my thoughts, my impressions. So, you're going to deal with challenges, of people who may be um, still afraid
Hmm.
of investing, their emotions in someone again, because they may have experienced the dark side of a relationship. They may have experienced betrayal or infidelity. So you can potentially, after 40, deal with, the possibility of having to decide whether or not you meet this person you're attracted to, you may vibe with, and you guys can, you know, watch movies or go whatever. You may have to, go. You meet at that crossroads. Like, do you have the patience and the understanding to work with them?
Hmm.
The fact that they may have lived life and experienced things that may or may not have turned them off, or may or may not have given them a slightly different impression of dating and marriage. Do you have the patience and understanding to stick around, work with them, or
Hmm.
is it a case of, what, I'm not going to waste my time, go seek therapy, and you know God be with you. Um, so that's, you're dealing with people who live life, people who have a testimony. And again, this really can happen. It is possible to happen. You meet someone at 21 or fresh out of college. However, by the time you're 40, you've lived longer. So there
Hmm.
is a higher possibility of dealing with someone who, they come to the table. They come to the table with, potentially with a U-Haul full of baggage. Um, and so, you have to ask yourself, can you deal? Can you, are you willing to be there and not be judgmental, and, still ride this ride with them? Or, and it doesn't make you a bad person if you realize, look, this isn't for me.
Hmm.
You wish this person well, but people need to. I do feel like if you are over 40 and you have these issues from previous relationships, you need to work themselves out. You need to go to therapy. You need to talk to someone. Otherwise, you're only going to be, a disservice to anyone else in a relationship. So
Yeah.
I think over 40, we really do need to begin to unpack and to just, really address things. Go look at yourself in the mirror and just really be honest about who you are and
Hmm.
what you are and what you want. And it's okay to be honest about being hurt, about being um, upset. Being upset with, whoever, the opposite sex, or whoever, same sex, whoever you like to date. It's okay to be honest about, your thoughts and feelings about God. If your beliefs on dating and marriage are rooted in spirituality and religion, it's okay to be honest and say, look, God, what's up? This
Yeah.
didn't turn out, I prayed and prayed. This is not turning out like I thought it would. So what's going on? So I think I would recommend to anyone, if this sounds familiar. I'm, definitely a Black man who advocates for therapy, who advocates
Hmm.
for counseling, because mental health is important. Go take care of your mental health. Get mentally in shape. Go do some mental, aerobics, and get yourself back on the ball before you get out here and dating, because um, hurt, bitterness, all that stuff can be contagious. Um, the hurt that you experience, you get into a relationship or a marriage prematurely, you are potentially, you're now in a position where you can hurt someone else because you haven't dealt with your own hurt.
Right. Invariably, because you live to be 45, 50, 42, 59, you have lived life, as you said. Things have happened to you. And if you're not careful along the way, you can allow those negative things that have happened to you to impact, what could be your future. And so it's really important that we all of us in this demographic who are still out there, that you pay attention to your traumas and things that are repeating themselves. If you're dating the same guy or dating the same girl and you're seeing the same patterns, you're hearing the same stories, the issues, round about the 3-week mark, things start falling apart with someone you just met, you might want to take an internal look and say, um, maybe this is me. Maybe this is an area that I have yet to address,
Hmm.
and get some counseling, get some therapy, talking to your girlfriends. That's great. talking to your mama is great, but sometimes you need to talk to a licensed professional to help you figure out how to successfully navigate a relationship. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with meeting somebody and realizing in the process of getting to know them that you're not ready. You
Absolutely.
know, and I think a lot of people try to keep going and they know they're not ready and they end up hurting people or hurting themselves or adding to their body counts, unnecessarily. And I think we need to do a better job of being honest with like where we are and what we want, and then articulating that to the person that we're trying to get to know, and not trying to, morph yourself into who you think they want you to be. Because invariably, I've done that, and that you can't maintain that.
No,
So it's
absolutely.
it's
I
best to show up as your authentic self and
mhm.
see if it will work with the person that you're interested in. And if it's not working, it doesn't mean something's wrong with you. It doesn't mean there's something wrong with them. It just means that maybe you guys aren't suited for each other. And that's fine, you know?
I would, to that point, I would, just express anyone, have the courage to be single. Have the
Hmm.
courage because, I know I can certainly relate to it, as far as understanding that you're hurt, understanding that you're pissed off, understanding that
Hmm.
you may at that moment hate the opposite sex or may hate, the same, whatever the case may be, but
Hmm.
you give into the fact that, well, I'm lonely. I'm alone. I want to spend
Hmm.
time with someone. It's the holidays. Everyone else around me is booed up. Everyone else, they can't hang out because they're with their significant others. And you
Hmm.
give in to, okay, I need to be with somebody, even though I'm not ready, even though
Hmm.
I'm still emotionally, scarred and damaged and hurt and, everything. It's like, but at least I'm not alone.
Hmm.
At least I have company, or at least I have somebody in my bed, or I have someone giving me a
Hmm.
compliment, even though you are a whole mess. You know that, okay, you got a lot of things going on mentally, and
Yeah.
you really should not be in a relationship. You are not fit mentally, you're not fit emotionally to be in a relationship right now. But when it's all said and done, like we were talking about, like you mentioned earlier, as far as society stigmatizing people because they're single,
Hmm.
they're single, or stigmatizing people because they're unmarried. It's like, well, let me get into this relationship. Let me get into this marriage so I can shut people up and no one can look at me funny, even though
Right.
you're, yeah, you're a walking time bomb, and you really need to go. Um, you need to find a counselor. You need to find a therapist to help diffuse, because
Right.
any day now you're just gonna explode and potentially ruin someone else's life.
Right. One of the other things I've noticed that people who are older, what I've run into, and I don't know if anybody out there watching has experienced this as well, but people rushing. So, you may meet someone in chemistry that, having chemistry doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be compatible. So you have to take time to figure out, you know, yeah, we have chemistry, but are we compatible? And a lot of people don't get to the compatible part because they're focused on the chemistry, and you can have
Mhm.
chemistry with 30 people. But are you compatible? And so what I run into a lot is I feel like people are rushing, like they're rushing to get to the next step, rushing, and I'm like, that scares me. I don't know if that scares anybody else out there, but that's kind of scary to me, because having been divorced, I want to take my time. Now, I'm not saying I need to take 5 years, or 10 years to figure this thing out, but certainly, for me, within 90 days, can you at least be consistent for 90 days? Like, don't start talking about marriage in the
Mhm.
first week, the second week. I'm like, I'm great. I know I'm great, but I ain't that great. Okay. So I think one of the turnoffs for me as a woman who's dating is when men want to rush at warp speed, and when they approach you and they haven't tied up all of their loose ends.
Mhm.
So, they're newly divorced or going through a divorce or recently separated, and then they want you to take on all of that. And I just think
Mhm.
it's unfair. Um, it's unfair to invite someone into your mess. So I would strongly encourage people to tie up your loose ends, right? Heal from whatever that was. And if you've been divorced, sometimes it's over like over 6 months to a year before the papers are actually signed. I'm not
Absolutely.
necessarily talking about those people, but tie up your loose ends before you try to invite me into whatever you have going on. It's so unfair. If I'm showing up unencumbered, I don't have any, loose ends, no guys hanging out there, that I'm still married to or we're separated. Don't do that to me. I just think
Hmm.
that's so unfair. I think it's immature. I think it's selfish. I think you're trying to use the person, to kind of get over what you just got out of. So just
Hmm.
beware of those kinds of things. I don't know. What do you think about that?
You know, it was a popular saying, before social media, but I think we're all familiar with the belief that the best way to get over someone is to get under someone
Under
else.
somebody. Mm-mm.
And people do that all the time as a band-aid, or I'm thinking about somebody else, I'm heartbroken over someone else, but let me find somebody else and be a distraction. I think short term it may work. It may fool the person thinking, okay, I'm having such a great time with this new person. I'm not thinking about the person who just, hurt me or just lied to me, or,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you're mad because you're walking out of, child support court, or whatever the case may be. I think short term people see that and think it's a great solution, but long term, no, it's terrible. It's a terrible idea, because you will invariably, if you haven't addressed, this past BS, the fact that you now, as a result of whatever it is you experience, as a result, now you look at people differently. You look at marriage or dating or spirituality or God differently. You haven't dealt with that. You are
Mm-hmm.
now going to hurt somebody else. And again, that's why I said, I said earlier, it can be contagious. It can be, you can spread
Yeah.
it. You can, transmit your hurt to someone else. And now they're hurt because you didn't deal with your hurt.
Right.
And so you have to have that courage to just say, look, I know it's the holidays. Everybody is with someone. You call up people that can't hang out because they're with someone. It's like, look, it's okay. It's okay.
Everybody's posting their pajama pictures for Christmas, right?
Mm.
And you're sitting over there like, I
Like,
don't
I
have
ain't got
anybody
time.
to post with, So it's just,
It's okay.
it's okay. Being alone does not mean that you're defective. Okay. Everybody that's single doesn't necessarily want to be in a relationship. And everybody that's single isn't incapable of being in a relationship. Sometimes it's timing. You just haven't met your person yet. And I wanted to back up to that place filler. The best way to get over somebody is getting under somebody else. For women. I can't speak for men, but for women, um, I don't know about you, but I have been in situations where I'm sitting next to someone, but my mind and my heart was somewhere else. And
Mm.
so when you think about that, that is unfair, right? It's
Hmm.
selfish. And you don't want to be that person that's sitting there. You're sitting next to the person, but they're thinking about Susie, or they're thinking about Cheryl, or they're thinking about their ex-wife or
I think
soon
about
to
all of
be
them.
ex-wife, or yeah, all three of them. And you're just there, you're just a body,
Yeah,
right? You're just a body.
you're there
And
as a
so
distraction.
yeah. So I'm just being transparent and I'm being honest to say that I have been in situations where I was so hurt by something. I went out with somebody and the whole time I'm having a conversation, but I'm thinking about the other person and
Hmm.
hoping that he calls me, or hoping that he texts me or hope that. So that's just unfair. And I just think those kinds of things, when you start thinking about that and think how hurtful that would be if they ever knew that they were a seat filler or a placeholder, or they were
Hmm.
the person that you were getting under to get over somebody else. It's just, you wouldn't want that done to you. And I'm sure that I've been in situations where I was the person, that was being used to get over somebody else. And that's not a good feeling. And so I just think, treat people how you want to be treated, be considerate, be kind, and be honest with yourself. I have actually met great guys when I was in a really deep place of hurt, and I knew that I just wasn't in a position to give what needed to be gave. You know what I'm saying? So I had to say, I'm not ready. I need time. I need to heal. And, it hurt me to see them go off and do whatever. But, I knew that was the best thing for me, for us. And so I slept better because I knew, hey, you didn't use that person, you didn't string that person along. And I would just encourage you not to do that to other people.
If everybody followed the golden rule, all this wouldn't be an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it would be great if we did, if we would stop and say, you know what, um, how would I feel if this were done to me?
Yeah.
How would I like it, or how would I respond if what I'm doing right now to this person, if someone was doing the exact same thing to me?
Yeah.
If someone would do that kind of, if more people did that kind of self-evaluation and self-assessment, a lot of these issues wouldn't be issues whatsoever. They wouldn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't.
No.
And I say we because I've been guilty of it. I've been on both ends. I've played both
Yeah.
roles.
Mm-hmm.
We oftentimes we know what we're doing could be wrong. We know, we may not want to accept it or believe it. We may not
Mm-hmm.
want to have that conversation with ourselves. We may want to block our own voice and say, I'm not listening to you. Because,
Right. And I've done that. Like, I know, calling my girlfriend on the way, I know I'm dead wrong,
right.
but I need to get through tonight. So it is what it is. And we'll talk about this tomorrow, kind of thing. So,
Mhm.
I just say I've learned to try to make sure that I treat people the way that I want to be treated. And you don't owe, just because someone expresses interest, that's another thing I wanted to mention. Just because someone expresses interest, it doesn't mean that you have to entertain them. Like, it's great that you want to talk to me or you want to get to know me, but I don't necessarily have to involve myself with you in that way if I don't want to. And I've run into some men who were highly offended, wouldn't take no for an answer. And I think that's a bit of a turnoff. Like, can you speak to that? Like, why would someone not respect your decision to decline
Like,
seeing them or getting to know them?
I'm like, what you mean? No. What you mean you don't want to talk to me? I'm over 6 feet tall. I make six
Yeah.
figures. I got a six pack. I'm triple six. Like, what you mean? Well, who are you to turn me down? Like, what's wrong with you? That's the problem. And so, for men and women, that defense mechanism kicks in. Like, I bring this much to the table. I look this way. I'm sought after by everyone else, but you don't want me. That means
Mhm.
there's a problem with you.
Yeah.
And that is completely dysfunctional. That is the wrong way to be. That is
Mhm.
not great character. But you have people out there who, you know, can't handle rejection, can't handle the fact that as highly as they, view themselves, as high of a pedestal they put themselves. Look, bruh, or look, ma'am, not everybody wants you, and that's okay. Yeah, you may look great on paper. You may be great arm candy, around my friends, around my family, at a wedding, whatever the case. But maybe I'm just not feeling you. Maybe
Mhm.
I'm just not interested, or maybe I'm at a point where I'm okay being single, and no one can leverage that against me. Um,
Right.
but you are going to have those people that are like, "What is wrong with you?" Because you don't want all this. All you see all this, and you don't want this. That means there's a problem with you, not me.
Right.
You meet. I don't care if that's a man or woman. You meet someone like that. Um,
Run.
run for the run for the hills, and lock the door behind you and throw away the key. You don't want that type of energy. You don't want that type of clown in your life.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that happens to a lot of men and women, and um, what can you do?
Yeah. So we know that in relation, any kind of relationship, communication is key. What are some of the things that singles are not talking about that we should absolutely be talking about when getting to know uh, a potential partner?
Um, we have to address. Well, number one, let's address the difference between what you really want versus what other people want for you.
Mm.
Yes, like you mentioned earlier, yes, people may think that because of who you are, your age, you should be single. I mean, you should be married,
Hmm.
whatever. But at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, look, let's just have a serious, real for real, bona fide conversation right now. Let's be honest and raw. Let's not, forget, we're sitting across from each other from a dinner table. Let's forget the calamari. Let's get some buffalo wings right now and have a real conversation as two people. What do
Yeah.
you really want? Are you really interested in dating? Are you really interested in are you really interested in the opposite sex.
Yeah.
And it's okay to just say, look, despite what others may say, my interests, my values, and what I want is not in alignment with the values of people from yesteryear, my parents or the baby boomers. And you have to have the courage to say, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have to, know that, look, when you die, you're going in that ground by yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
you need to be living your life by your own set of values. It's okay to take note of the values of others. And if they align with yours, great. If not, look, it's okay. Um, but when it's all said and done, your life is your life and no one owns your life
Right.
except you. And so you need to operate from a sense of complete and total physical, spiritual, emotional autonomy. Be honest with yourself and know exactly what you want. And it's okay to say, look, I really don't want a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't. It would make my parents happy. It would make, my friends happy. It would make my,
Mm-hmm.
like you're saying, your LSs, your sorors, your frat brothers, whatever. It would, I want to post those great Christmas pajama pictures too, but deep down, that's not what I want. And I explained, and
Yeah.
I've said this several times. Start there. That's step one. Go stop what you're doing because I'm about to ruin images. Whatever
The
you're
image
doing
and the
right
style
now.
that you used to. Yeah.
Exactly. I was listening to this song the other day. Um, um, Go to your bathroom mirror and
Mm-hmm.
take a hard look at yourself, and you need
Mm-hmm.
to really come to grips and be honest about who you are, what you want, what you
Mm-hmm.
don't want. Because no matter what you want, I promise you, I'll promise this to anybody with every fiber of my being, no matter what you want, I promise you, there's a tribe out there comprised of people that want the exact same thing.
Yeah.
You are not alone. If you are someone who you want companionship, you want a regular sex partner, you want someone to go to movies with or whatever, but
Mm-hmm.
you're not interested in commitment, you're not interested in marriage, say that.
Mm-hmm.
Be open to that. And I guarantee you
Mm-hmm.
there are other people out there who want the exact same thing. You just got to find them. Don't get into a committed relationship and promise fidelity and promise monogamy, promise commitment when deep down that's not who you are. You don't
And
believe
you've never been faithful to a soul.
you never been faithful. If that's who you
Be
are,
honest about that.
it's
Yeah.
okay to say to someone sitting across the dinner table, it's like, look,
Mm-hmm.
I like you. I'm attracted to you. I want to hang out. However, I'm not into monogamy. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
into just being one. It's okay because eventually, guess what? You're gonna find someone to say, you know what? Me neither. Same thing. No matter who you are, what you do,
Yeah.
there is a tribe out there of people who are just like you. Find them and stop
Right.
trying to contort who you are to fit
Mm-hmm.
in this paradigm that was created long before you were born that you for whatever reason feel indebted to subscribe to. You don't have to. You can do, if being the faithful type or being a monogamous type is not your bag, it's okay. If being
Mm-hmm.
with the opposite sex is not your bag, it's okay. If getting married and having children is not your bag, it's okay. Guess what? Somebody out there feels the exact same way. Go meet them.
Yeah. Yeah. And be bold about it. You don't have to hide. You don't have to explain your choices to
Mhm.
anybody. Okay. On a scale from 1 to 10, how important is the sexual component in a relationship for those of us who are over 40? What are some, I'd say probably a 40, right? But what are some misconceptions about this age group and sex that you found?
I think sometimes that and I've made this mistake. I certainly have made this mistake. I think um, we don't lend enough importance of how sexual compatibility or sexual incompatibility can affect a relationship or even a marriage.
Mhm.
Um, you have people out there who are in relationships and who are married. You hear about this so often. You hear about sexless marriages, and you have people who are in denial, like, well, it's okay, and we have other things that we're compatible with, like you're a sexual person. You're human. You want to have sex. Okay, you're in a relationship or you're in a marriage with someone, you're only having sex once a month or once every other month. Like that's not the business. You can lie to
But
yourself all you want, but I'm like, if as far as the importance, it depends on that person. Some people need to have sex. Some people literally need to have sex every day.
Mhm.
Some people are okay with, once a week. Everyone's different. Some people, we come to the table. Some people may have had, by the time you're 40, some people have come to the table with, they've had 500 partners,
Mhm.
and they're sitting across the dinner table with someone who's only had 5 partners. So their sexual, libido compatible, it may be a little different. Like, look, I'm not going to run across a busy highway for say, I'm okay with saying no tonight. Whereas the other person may be like, no, we gonna get it in. And so
Yeah.
you have to find that match. You have to find, like, okay, where are we, and where can we find that middle ground?
I think it's interesting that the society kinds of tells us that once you hit a certain age, you're no longer sexual, right? Like older women are not considered sexy, right? We see it in our movies. The older men get, the more, a Denzel and Don Cheadle and all whoever, all these other people are. But it's, as women age, we don't want to see them, but we have people now like Halle Berry and Angela Bassett,
Yes, Angela.
beautiful, beautiful, sexy, vivacious older women that are kind of changing that narrative. But it's interesting to me that men are getting. Uh, Society says men are getting better as they age, and women, they lose all these things. They're no longer young. They're no longer supple. They're no longer sexy. And I don't buy into that. I don't believe that.
I don't believe that at all.
And yeah, I don't believe that, but I just think it's interesting that, we accept that as women and we kind of buy into that thing. We start thinking, well, I'm soon to be 50, right? In just a little bit. And, maybe 20 years ago, that thought would have mortified me, but I'm looking forward to it, right? I'm looking forward to this next chapter in my life. And I just wish women would embrace that and stop trying to be 20. Like some women still have that 20-year-old body, and God bless you. I don't. But, it's okay to have, a few more pounds. You're a little rounder than you were when you were 20. You have some grays. That's okay. I think we should stop trying to fight aging, because it's denied many. The past couple of years haven't taught us anything. People are leaving left and right. And
Mm-hmm.
so I actually look forward to and am thankful for each day that I'm still here. Each year that I'm here, I'm going to celebrate it. And so I just think women should really kind of, it's like you're fighting something that's going to happen whether you want it to or not.
Right. You're gonna
So
age.
a little
It's
nip tuck is fine. I'm not
mhm.
saying do whatever you need to do to still feel beautiful, but I'm just saying don't feel like you're no longer valuable because you're 50 or you're 47 or now you have some fine lines and wrinkles and extra stuff going on. Like somebody's still going to desire you
Oh,
as
somebody's
you
still gonna
are,
want you.
you know, as you
I
are.
guarantee. I guarantee it, ladies. I don't care that you're 50. I don't care if you're 60.
Mhm.
Somebody out there is looking
Somebody's
at
gonna
you.
like it. Yeah. Somebody's gonna
Somebody is,
like what you got.
ladies. If somebody out there is going to your Facebook every day
Yeah.
and looking at your pictures, okay, it doesn't matter. 50,
Yeah.
your value, your stock has not plummeted, despite what some people may think or some people may spout on, the internet. Um, you have to, and I think a lot of it, I would say, pinpoint in on that confidence.
Yeah.
Figure out, it doesn't matter what age you are. I mean, to me, it's like, okay, what makes you feel? If we're talking about sexuality, what makes you feel sexy?
Mhm.
Like, what, does a certain outfit, does a certain underwear, a certain hairstyle, certain makeup,
Mhm.
whatever the case may be, what do you do to yourself to where you now look like, okay, I'm the sexiest, you know, person on God's green earth, right?
Yeah.
You know, I guarantee somebody wants you,
Yeah. For
you know,
sure.
so it's okay to, block out the noise out there of what, the immature chatter that you may hear from people who haven't lived life, haven't realized themselves, or who are not honest with themselves. It doesn't matter. You know,
Yeah.
50-year-old women, I mean, again, trust me, Trust me. Even with the rise of, social media platforms like TikTok and Instagram, you see a lot of
Yeah.
these, you see a lot of pages of women who are over 50,
Hmm.
or women who are gray haired, or, and still, um,
Bad.
bad. Like,
Hmm.
they can pull anybody's man. Uh,
Hmm.
I think that's something, you're going to have those people who are going to try to leverage, or going to try to, use whatever means to, you know, squash self-esteem, to try
Yeah.
to, keep you down, and put you down to, pick themselves up.
Hmm.
No, no. If you, you look, and it doesn't, and ladies, I would say this, I mean, as a man, I'm just being perfectly honest, you know, I don't care if you've gained a couple pounds, or you may be rounded here, or stretch marks here, or whatever the case may be. Don't let anybody make you feel like that's still not beautiful, or somebody,
Hmm.
especially, and you definitely don't need to take that from, if that person, they themselves not in shape. And that happens a lot. Don't let,
Hmm.
you, because trust me, I'm went to all male school, I'm in a fraternity. You got a lot of men out here who have belly on top of belly, and who have, man boobs and triple chin, trying to tell you that you overweight, trying to tell you you need to hit the gym, or try to tell you need to
Right.
eat right and get in shape.
Right.
But you shouldn't take that in general. Don't take that at all. But you definitely don't take it from someone that looks like they got a Nestle Crunch bar in the back of their neck. Take care of them razor bumps, and then you can talk to somebody about their stretch marks. About their stomach. I'm like, you haven't worked out your own stomach, so
Yeah.
there is sexuality still in you. There is still
Yeah.
years old. There is still plenty of sex to be.
Had.
Yeah, plenty. It ain't the ride ain't over.
Not at all.
The ride.
And stop competing. Like, I feel like women, we chase these ideas, like ideals, like we're so obsessed. And find out your personal best. Accentuate the things like I'm never going to be Beyonce, okay? I'm never going to be Halle Berry. I'm never going to be Angela Bassett, blah, blah, blah. But I can be the best me that I can be. So do the things that are going to accentuate all the good things about you and
Mm-hmm.
be confident in that. And at best, you'll be a second rate, trying to be someone else. You'll be a second rate person, a second class Beyonce, a second class Angela Bassett. But you could be a first class Mary, and nobody can be a Mary. Nobody can be a Belle. Nobody can be a Kim. Nobody can be a Naima. You know what I mean? So we have to just stop trying to fight the things that are happening naturally. Accept what you have, accentuate all the good things about you, and somebody is going to like it. But first, you want to
Somebody,
make sure that you like it.
somebody is going to like
Yeah.
it.
Somebody's
Somebody's
going to
going
catch your
to.
vibe. They're going to catch the vibe. They're going to
They're gonna,
meet that frequency. They're going to feel that frequency. And they're like, I like what's going on over there. That's
yeah,
where I need to
it's
be.
going to
Yeah.
catch somebody. Someone is going to,
Hmm.
um, you know, find your signal. Someone's going to stop
Yeah.
traffic. Someone's going to, do a double take. It doesn't matter, again, with the age thing, because somebody out there, ladies, is looking at your pictures. Somebody out there is trying to strategize how they're going to approach you, or where you're going to be, so they can talk to you.
Hmm.
There's somebody out there who wants to bring you flowers, that wants to introduce you to their family and their friends, who
Hmm.
wants to, fly you out, or get you flued out. There's somebody out there that wants to wine and dine you. But on the same token, that person, there's also people out there that want to do the nastiest, freakiest sexual theater known to man to you, and make you feel sexy, make you feel, you know, like you are the sexiest.
Hmm.
Beyonce who? I care
Yeah.
about Beyonce, I care about you.
Yeah.
I'm caring about, you're in my life. You're in my, you're the woman in my life. You're the woman who is, the person that I place on the highest pedestal. Not looking at
Hmm.
Beyonce, not looking at Cardi B or Nicki or Megan, whatever. I'm thinking about you.
Yeah.
Regardless of what you think are quote unquote imperfections, that person is all about you. And ladies, that person is out there. That person is out there waiting. You got to get out there. You can't, get out. Well, we're in COVID, this pandemic, so wear a mask.
We
Uh,
outside in Atlanta.
yeah, be careful. But when it's
We
all said and
outside.
done,
Yeah.
unless you plan on ordering a lot of pizza or a lot of Amazon, that person ain't gonna come knocking at your door. Get
Right.
the hell out. Go be seen. Go out there and allow someone to catch your signal. and be seen, so they can approach you, so they can you know come and find you, because
Yeah.
again, you are attractive and beautiful and sexy.
Mhm.
Okay. And somebody out there is just waiting to do
Scoop you
all,
up. Yeah.
scoop you up, slop you up. What is it?
Sop you up with a biscuit.
Right. What is it? They don't see, somebody out there will definitely, ladies, somebody out there wants to drink your bath water.
Oh,
So find that person. They want to drink it and ask for seconds. Double
oh,
shot.
wow. Okay. Ask for seconds.
Oh yeah,
So
why
we
not? Mhm.
we talk a lot about red flags. Like by now, everybody knows red flags, right? We know what red flags are. We know what we should do when we see red flags. We don't talk enough about green flags, right? And for those who aren't familiar, green flags are the positives. They're the indicators that this person is safe. They're a safe place to land. They're a soft place to land. You can trust them. You can let your guard down. So, did you want to talk about green flags and what are some things that we see when we're meeting somebody new that signal us that, hey, this might be my person?
You know, I didn't always think about this in my 20s or 30s. Um, but I like how a lot of people have stated that regardless of how attractive someone may be, or what they may, you know, how they may represent themselves or their resume, I do agree with the metric of how, little things in terms of character. We can be
Mhm.
at a restaurant, fine dining or TGI Fridays, no matter what it is. We can be someplace. If you mistreat the staff or the waiter,
Mhm.
that that's a red flag. But someone who is generous, someone who has good character, someone who's kind, someone who is just a nice person, that's a green flag. It's like, could you really, all your standards that you may have as far as their
Mhm.
body, their resume, their Ivy League education, their
Mhm.
six-figure salary, their corner office, would you really want to be with someone if they had just terrible character?
Yeah.
They weren't nice to people. They were selfish. They were
Yeah.
self-centered. So look for more, I would definitely say hone in on those intrinsic, um, values, those intrinsic, characteristics, because again, having someone who is physically attractive and makes you look good by being on your arm doesn't mean they're a great person for you. Doesn't mean they're someone you want to spend a considerable amount of time with, or someone you want to hitch your wagon to. So you want to pay attention to, are they a kind person?
Mhm.
Are they respectful? Do they have manners?
Mhm.
Are they mature? Look
Mhm.
for those, qualities like that, because we have to get out of the other things can be shallow, shallow as hell,
Mhm.
really shallow.
And to break that down even further, yes, kind is high on my list.
Hmm.
Are they honest? Are
Honest,
they
yeah.
consistent? Do they do what they say they're going to do? That's a big one for me. Um, are
Integrity.
they, yeah, are they showing interest consistently? Is it not, hot and cold, this week you can't get enough of me. Next week you're too busy to return a text. Like that off and on like that, I can't deal with that. So somebody that's really into you, somebody that you should probably continue to pursue is someone who is consistent. Ladies, he's consistent with you. He's kind to you. He says he does what he says he's going to do. He wants to see you. He's not inboxing you, all day and texting you sporadically. He is consistently um, contacting you because he's thinking about you and he
Hmm.
wants to converse with you. He's making plans to see you. He has emotional intelligence. You can talk to him without feeling scared or nervous. When you're around him, you feel safe and secure. You're not like, oh my God, I know I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't want to do the thing. He's going to get mad. You feel safe. And
Hmm.
I think we don't pay enough attention to that. Sometimes we're just happy that it is a person showing interest, but we
Hmm.
don't pay attention to what he's doing about it. Like you can tell me all day in an inbox, that you're interested in me, but like, have you called me? Did you text me? Are you consistently doing those things? I'm giving you the go ahead. I'm saying I'm interested too, but you're not catching the bait. You're not
No,
picking up on the hints. You're not calling me back. You're not calling me at all. You're just texting me, what you doing, or good morning, beautiful. I mean, like, what is that? So we
you
have to learn how to sift
ladies
through.
they don't like the
No,
hotep, you know,
no.
morning queen. Y'all don't like that?
You have to follow that up with something. Every morning, good morning, beautiful, and that's it. And then the next morning, good morning, beautiful, and then the next one. But what about from morning till night? Like, what? What is that? Like, what are you doing? So I think some people just want attention, and they're bored, and they're doing stuff, and so seeing inbox messages excites them, and that's really what they're trying to do. But they're not actually trying to get into a relationship. They're playing games, and so I just think we need to not get so excited because someone shows interest. Be excited when he is following up and he's making plans, right?
Mhm.
Making plans to see and do. That's how you know somebody's really interested in you. In my experience, I don't know. What do you think about that, Trey?
Yeah. Someone, when the rubber meets the road, people can talk a great game. Talk is cheap. I think we've
Mm-hmm.
all heard that. But how do you apply? How, it's one thing to say, saying is one thing, but your actions, your behaviors, your character is not in alignment.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see, everything you said online, all those, beautiful posts that you make on Facebook and on Twitter. I'm like, but in real life, I'm like, you're a different person. I think you're kind of
Mm-hmm.
schizophrenic. And because I would say, we like to say is very, find someone that has a spiritual base, that a lot of people believe that a man of God is a real man. That's cool and everything. That's, if you, I'm with that. That's fine. Um, you find a man that may have he may attend church regularly and he can recite any Bible verse, and he may pull out a Bible that has all these highlights, but behind the scenes his life is not, and his life is totally different.
Yeah.
That is a red flag. That is okay. When someone is around or on social media, you can pull out a Bible verse, or you can
Mm-hmm.
say an impromptu prayer and all that stuff, but behind the scenes, you are the biggest
A
heathen.
demon.
Yeah, you are the heathen of all heathens. So find someone who they can have a spiritual base and a foundation,
Yeah.
but it actually is applying in their real life.
Yeah.
Not just on Sundays, when everybody wants to be sitting in the pews, giving tithing and checking that box.
Right.
Like they're actually that person. They're actually of good character. They're actually, they have, a spiritual foundation, and they're operating within that spiritual foundation. There
Yeah.
is just, the prayers and saying God, and all, it's not lip service. They actually believe it, and they're trying to, become a better person. But yes, we all need to do better. I think overall, men and women, there is no one sex that's more of a problem than others. You got bad character
Mm-hmm.
in men and women. So I think first and foremost, let's stop trying to blame and pass the buck and say, well, all my problems are a result of the opposite sex. You know,
Mm.
they're the ones, they're the culprits, I'm the victim. Like, no, it doesn't work that way. There is some accountability that needs to be had. There needs to be some level of acknowledgement and self-awareness.
Yeah.
Um, so we just need to do better.
Yeah, and telling me that you go to church every Sunday and you can quote scriptures and you're posting scriptures on your Facebook page or on Instagram, that doesn't mean anything to me. That's like me standing in the car and saying standing in the garage and saying I'm a car. So it's in the works, it's in how you're treating me, it's in how you treat your fellow man, it's in the fruit. You have people with no fruit, saying all these things. And so I think women, we need to pay attention to not just what he's saying, but what he's doing. And if the two things are not in alignment, the default is always what he's doing.
Hmm.
Okay.
Absolutely.
We
That's
get fooled by words easily. Oh, you're the most beautiful, and all of all those things women like to hear to let our guards down. But
those
what
games.
is he doing? You can't tell me that you're into me like that, but I don't ever hear from you. I don't ever see you. I just see you on social media. I
Mhm.
mean, what is that? So just don't allow yourself to get caught up in words. Pay more attention to actions and deeds. That's something I wish I had learned a lot sooner in the game. There was a good question. Let me pull it up if I can find it from Sunita. I know we're running out of time, but she wanted to know, what is a good way to meet people during the pandemic? Do you recommend online dating? And if so, which apps or sites? What are your thoughts on
Um,
online dating and meeting people?
someone in my group made this comment last year. Like when you're out, everyone's wearing a mask, so you don't know who's cute or not. How do you know who to approach somebody? Um, it's like it's hard to date in a pandemic
Hmm.
wearing a mask. I'm like, you don't know, that person may have pretty eyes, messed up grill.
Yeah.
um, it. I will say that you have a lot of um, online platforms and apps who really made it come up because it's much safer to do it um, online.
Hmm.
That's the best way to be socially distant. You can still search profiles, you can swipe left, swipe right. Um, you're gonna have those, those apps. People may find love on Tinder. I'm not,
Hmm.
you want to use Tinder. I've never had an account on Tinder. Do you? No, you have Bumble, you have Coffee Meets Bagel, you have um, what's the religious one for
Christian Mingle.
yeah, Christian or Black people meet. They all or I tell people even Ringside. We
Yeah.
a lot of couples have met in my group, and so you are going to have people that are going to avail themselves to these apps and these platforms because they are, it can be seen as safer during a pandemic when you're trying to minimize um, contact because again, we are in a pandemic, and this virus spreads from person to person. And
Yeah.
so you do need to. It has altered the way that we date, we socialize, and we meet people.
Yeah.
So it's okay to use Facebook. I mean, I'm in a lovely relationship with someone I met on Facebook. I'm in a relationship with a woman that I just sent a DM, early in the morning when I couldn't sleep.
Hmm.
And so we blossomed to a great relationship. And so you can use Facebook, you can use Instagram. I would say ladies and some of you fellas out there too, I would say go easy on the filters. Um, it's like because they're gonna see you in real life eventually.
At some point, yeah.
At some point they're gonna see the
Hmm.
real you. They're gonna see, okay, you don't quite look like that. So I understand a little, accentuate certain things, but just kind of be moderate when it comes to these filters out there. To the point where like you don't even recognize yourself.
Yeah.
So just be careful.
Accentuate, not transform into a totally different person. And some men don't care. So I mean, who am I to really say that? If you like your filters and your extra makeup and all that, do that. Do
Hmm.
that. And there may be somebody out there who's totally fine with it. Um, there was something I was gonna say, and it slipped away from me, but that's okay. Oh, do people still do happy hours and mixers and all of that? I know Atlanta is completely outside, so they're still doing a lot of things. Are they? Is that still a thing?
Oh, very much so thing.
Yeah. Okay.
A lot
So
of
that's another option. You
Yeah,
know.
it's someplace, for those, I mean, regardless if you're working remote or not, there are a lot
Mhm.
of bars and restaurants that have that happy hour. Go get you your favorite drink at a discount price and go, grab some apps. You can go by yourself or,
Mhm.
call your crew. And, in addition, you don't necessarily, a happy hour doesn't necessarily have to be that place where you've designated like, okay, I'm going here to find a man or I'm going here to find a woman. You can find, go there and just say, look, I just want to, kind of just decompress from my work. And just so happen if there are, eligible men and women there, then that's a byproduct. You can go there, you can let your hair down, you can relax, decompress. You've had a hard day at work, hard week at work, and you just may have the opportunity to interface with people who are who are looking for the same thing as you. And again, it's about meeting people. It's you may not make a love connection on the first number you get, the first person you contact, it's okay.
Mhm.
Keep trying. But yeah, this is, I can't speak for the other cities, but Atlanta, we still on that happy hour stuff.
Mhm. Okay. Brunch and all of that.
Brunch,
Yeah.
oh yeah, all that.
Atlanta is completely
They,
outside. The other thing I wanted to mention is sometimes your friends, I don't see a lot of friends hooking up their single friends with people they know, but I think other cultures do that. So maybe there's somebody like right in your stratosphere that's single that would be a good option for another single that I wish we had more of that, happening because you've already vetted them. They're not crazy. They got good credit, all this other stuff. And they could be possibly a suitable match. So I know of couples who've gotten together like that through mutual friends. So talk to your girl. I ask my girlfriends all the time, you don't know anybody that's single and not crazy. That's,
single and not
so
crazy.
do you have any parting words for our guests?
Ladies and gentlemen, don't give up hope. Um, Tune out the noise that you may see on social media. Social media is a tool. It can be good in certain aspects. It can be terrible in other aspects. Don't let social media or others define your value for you. Um, there is still much opportunity out here for you to find what it is you're looking for, regardless of how conventional or unconventional it may be. But the first step is to be open, honest, transparent, and blunt with yourself. Do yourself a favor, go to the bathroom mirror, stare at yourself, and really have just an open conversation about what it is exactly that makes you happy and
Right.
makes you feel fulfilled. And like I said earlier, no matter what it is, I don't care how outlandish it may seem to others, no matter what it is you want, somebody out there wants the exact same thing. There is a tribe out there comprised of people who want exactly what you are looking for. But you first have to be, you got to be open and honest with yourself, because if not, you're just going to hurt somebody else.
Yeah.
You're just going to, you will be the cause of someone else needing therapy, or someone else, um, being emotional wreck. So be honest with yourself. Let's stop the cycle of hurt, and let's do better. And like I said before, if everyone followed the golden rule, many of these issues wouldn't be issues whatsoever. So, I would say the biggest takeaway, if you don't listen to anything that I've said today, I would say be open and honest with who you are, what you want, and what your definition of happiness really is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess the only thing I would say is, decide for yourself what your happy looks like and say no to everything that's not it. Okay. Say no to it because it's just a distraction. So if you know that what you want is ultimately be married and in a positive, uh, wholesome marriage, then you do the work to prepare yourself to be a wife or to be a husband, and you stay laser focused on what your goals
Mm.
are. Do not get distracted by what you're seeing on social media, what your friends are doing, what your line sisters are doing, what your line brothers are doing, what your coworkers are doing. Stay focused on what it is that you want and say no to everything that takes you off that path.
And I do want to say a couple of things, and I'll shut up. Um, we just got through the holidays. Don't work when the holidays come up. We're going to be approaching Valentine's Day, but whenever these holidays and these other events happen, get your clapbacks ready. Don't worry about what people may say or define you because of your relationship status. Don't worry
Mhm.
about what they have to say. Sometimes you do have to give a proverbial middle finger to
Yeah.
people who really don't have no clue about what's going on in your life, but want to tell you about who you are because you don't have someone, you're not married, or you don't
Right.
have children. Um, Lastly, I do want to quickly plug. If you are on YouTube, I would advise everyone to go to YouTube. Please follow my channel. Just go to your interweb, go to the browser, and type in www.youtube.com/ringside LLC. I have a series called Corner Confessions where I interview up and coming as well as established Atlanta influencers, and I pick their
Mhm.
brains about topics germane to singlehood, dating, marriage, sex, kink, and fetish. So if you're in the Atlanta area, tune into my channel. You may see some familiar faces, and it's cool to listen to the videos and see how they may feel about, issues and topics that matter to you. So if you're out there, please, like, subscribe, follow, drop some comments, but just go to youtube.com/ringside LLC.
Awesome. I hope that those watching will share this with your friends. And I hope that something that was said on this evening was helpful to you in some way. That's the whole point of Conversations with Belle. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to continue to talk about real life issues in a meaningful way. I look forward to talking to you all real soon. Until then, have a great evening.